Welcome to the first actual work for this section. Now, first thing we're going to do is make a book class. And to make a book class, I want you to do it yourself first. Make a new file which stores your book class and name it book.py. You can name it anything, but just to remain on the same page, call it book.py. Now, this book class must have its own attributes and a toDict method. And I'll tell you how they're going to work. So these attributes, they're going to work in a way that they define the whole class in a very meaningful way. So I want you to give these attributes to the class: an ID, a name, description, ISBN, page count, issued, author, and a year. And make sure that you initialize that method. In the initialize method, make sure you initialize all these attributes. And also another method, a toDict method, that returns all the attributes in form of a dictionary. So for example, all these attributes, ID, name, description, ISBN, you should give it in form of a dictionary, so it's easier to tackle when we're dealing with storing the data in form of files. Just write that for now, don't worry about that stuff for now. Now let's get started with our book class. To make the book class, you know the syntax. The class keyword comes in, then the class name comes in, the colon for the syntax, then we define the constructor that builds. It's like a builder that builds our class, and then we initialize it and pass the self keyword. It's not a keyword, it's just the context. Think of it like passing book. Explaining that is not the context here, it's not important here, but if you don't understand it, just remember to do it for now. We have page count, we have issued, we have author, and we have a year. That sounds good. Yeah, that's good. So now what do we do? Well, you know how to initialize this, but there is a catch here which we're not gonna do, but I'm gonna explain to you what I mean by that. Self.name is equal to name, self.description equals description, self.isbn equals ISBN, self.page count, self.issued, self.author, and self.year. Now what if the year that is given to me is in form of a string, or in a very in an error format, or something that is wrong? Now what do I do with that? Now in that case you would use a setter. Now object-oriented programming is not the scope of this course, but I'm going to explain it to you in just a simple word of what a setter would do. For example, I can use set name here, just a function. It's like a normal function, we learned about these, and I say that the length of the name shouldn't be bigger than that, or bigger than something. So if that length is bigger than that value, then I can throw an error here and do all that stuff. Now you can do this yourself, but for the simplicity of this project, I'm not going to do that. Make things simple for the beginners out there. So what's the next thing we're going to do? Well, we're going to have to create the toDict method, which is pretty simple, but if you weren't able to do it, then no problem. Here we're going to make it self is always passed to have access to the real instance that we created. Now how do we return a dictionary? Well, you can take a variable, you can call it D, or return the exact thing. I will store it in a variable. And how do we convert that? It's pretty simple. I'm sure you've done it already, but if you don't, then I'm going to explain it. We have ID, we have name. Now this key, we are returning the whole object in form of a key value pair. That's what we're doing here. So we're going to use self.name here. We're going to have description, self.description. We're going to have ISBN. We're going to have page count. We're gonna have issued, self.issued. We're going to have author, and we're going to have year. Now let's try if this works, and let me see if this works or not. So you can open your terminal and create a new object of this class. Now how do we do that? Well, you know how we do that. So we just type in book, and we just give in what we want the attributes, the attribute values to be. We can have 1, 2, we can have a name like Atomic Habits, we can have description, build, long habits, you can have an ISBN, a string, you can have the page count to be 234 or some random value, issued to be true or false. Now remember, issued could be true or false. Is the book issued? Yes or no, true or false, a boolean data type here. Then author name, James Clear, and year 2018. Now let's build that if we get any error. Now we've made that, and what about this dictionary right here? Let's call that function and print that and see if it actually works. Book dot to dictionary. The dot operator is going inside the book and getting me that function back. Oh, that's a problem. We didn't return it. So return the dictionary. As you can see, all the things are right there. Now we can use this very interestingly in the real project. And as you will see, this will work very importantly, and I could have done it, we could have made the project without this book class, but it's very important that we understand at least the basics of it. Even if you don't understand this, just copy paste it. This is not the main theme of this course, is not the object-oriented programming or to create classes. But if you understand this, you may say to yourself, I can package this whole thing into this class. That's beautiful. And you may want to look more into object-oriented programming, but the main thing of this course is teaching you programming, and that will be the main focus. In the upcoming videos, we're going to make functions, and you're going to learn how to make all the functions for this thing and this project that we're building. So I'll see you in the next lecture.